Rain slid down the windows of the downtown bank like tears that wouldn't stop falling. Nora's fingers trembled as she clutched her soaked purse, the rejection letter from the loan department digging into her palm like a personal insult. She hadn't even realized she was crying until she looked up and locked eyes with him. Behind the counter, he was quiet, impossibly calm, dark hair, rolled up sleeves, and a scar just beneath his jaw. He didn't speak at first, just watched her. I'm sorry, she stammered, stepping away from the wrong window. I thought this is the right place, he said, his voice low like a secret slipping through cracks. Her breath caught. His name tag said Eli. No last name, no title, just Eli. I need help, she admitted. I have a business, a dream, but no one believes in me. Something flickered in his eyes, but he stayed still, silent. She told him everything. Her late father's legacy, the bakery about to shut down, the bank manager who dismissed her without even a second glance. She didn't know why she kept talking. Maybe it was the way he listened, like he wasn't just hearing words, he was feeling them. I'm sorry, she whispered finally. You probably can't do anything. He leaned forward slowly, voice soft but certain. What if I could? Nora blinked, confused, hopeful, drawn in by the mystery of him, but she had no idea she'd just revealed her entire soul to the owner of the bank. Nora stared at him, unsure if she heard right. What do you mean? She asked, barely above a whisper. Eli didn't smile. He just looked at her, really looked, like he could see every moment that brought her here. She waited for him to laugh, to say it. It was a joke, but he didn't. Instead, he reached behind the desk, scribbled something quickly, and slid a card toward her. His hand brushed hers, warm, steady. Come back tomorrow, same time. That night, Nora couldn't sleep. She sat on the bakery floor, surrounded by unopened bills and stale muffins, thinking about her father. He used to tell her, people don't invest in ideas, sweetheart. They invest in belief, show them yours. But she'd tried, over and over. Banks slammed doors. Customers stopped coming. And her brother? He told her to sell, move on. She clutched Eli's card like it was the last string holding her up. Who was he? Just a clerk, or something more. The next morning, she was back. Rain again, like the sky remembered. She waited, nerves twisting in her stomach, until she saw him step out of an elevator she hadn't noticed before. He wasn't behind the counter this time. He wore a dark jacket, tailored, clean cut, confident in a way that didn't match a loan officer. Follow me, he said. They walked past desks, past curious glances. She felt out of place in her worn boots and thrifted coat. He stopped at a glass door, opened it. Inside, bookshelves. City views, a private coffee bar. His office. Nora blinked. Wait, this is your office? Eli didn't answer. He just looked at her, serious. Tell me about your business again, everything, no filters. Heart pounding, she sat. My dad left me the bakery, she began, voice cracking. It was ours. We used to bake together since I was 5, but after he passed, I've been trying to keep it alive. It's all I have left of him. He didn't interrupt, just listened, the way no one had since her father died. I'm behind on rent. I've maxed out everything. If I don't get help, I'll have to shut it down by next month. She expected pity, maybe even polite rejection. Instead, Eli leaned forward, elbows on the desk, eyes locked on hers. Why didn't you tell the manager all this? I did, she said, frustrated. He said bakeries are sentimental, not profitable. He said the area's too competitive, that I should go find a job instead. Eli's jaw tightened slightly. Just for a second, and then he smiled. Not a big one, but enough to make her feel like she wasn't crazy for holding on. Some people only see numbers, he said softly. But numbers don't tell the whole story. Her throat tightened. Why are you doing this? You don't even know me. Held her gaze. Maybe I want to. Just then his assistant knocked and peeked in. Sir, the board meeting's waiting. Sir? Nora froze. Sir? Who was this man? Eli stood slowly, the air between them charged and strange. Come to the bakery tomorrow, he said. Show me your world. Then he was gone. She sat there alone, heart racing. The office around her suddenly felt too perfect, too powerful. Something was off. Was she being tested or watched? Why would a man like that take interest in her? And why? Did it feel like he already knew more than he let on? Nora stood at the bakery's entrance, the familiar scent of cinnamon and vanilla enveloping her. The soft hum of the ovens and the gentle clatter of utensils provided a comforting backdrop. She glanced around, noting the worn wooden counters and the display case filled with pastries. Everything was as it had always been, yet today felt different. Eli entered, his presence commanding yet unassuming. He took in the surroundings with a discerning eye, noting the charm and warmth of the place. Nora approached him, wiping her hands on her apron. Welcome to my world, she said, a hint of pride in her voice. Eli smiled, appreciating the authenticity of the bakery. It's lovely, he replied. They moved to a corner table, where Nora had laid out some of her best pastries. Eli sampled a croissant, nodding in approval. This is excellent, he remarked. You have a real talent. Nora blushed slightly. Thank you. It's been a labor of love. They discussed the business, with Nora detailing her challenges and aspirations. Eli listened attentively, offering insights and suggestions. As the conversation progressed, Nora felt a growing connection with Eli. His genuine interest and support were a stark contrast to the indifference she had encountered elsewhere. After some time, Eli stood up. I have to get going, but let's continue this discussion soon, he said. Nora nodded, feeling hopeful for the first time in a while. I'd like that. As Eli left, Nora couldn't help but wonder about the man who had taken such an interest in her. Bakery. There was something about him that she couldn't quite place. The next day, Nora received a call from the bank, informing her that her loan application had been approved. She was overjoyed, attributing the change in fortune to Eli's influence. Eager to thank him, she visited the bank, only to find out that Eli was not just an employee, but the owner. The revelation left her stunned. Feeling a mix of gratitude and confusion, Nora sought out Eli to express her thanks and to understand his motivations. Their ensuing conversation brought clarity and deepened their bond. As they continued to collaborate on revitalizing the bakery, their professional relationship blossomed into something more. Through shared experiences and mutual respect, they discovered a partnership that extended beyond business. In the end, Nora's perseverance and Eli's support transformed the bakery into a thriving establishment. Their journey together was a testament to the power of belief, both in oneself and in others. Nora stood frozen outside the bank, her fingers still clutching the approval letter. The words were clear, printed in bold across the top. Approved. She had read them at least a dozen times, but they didn't feel real. It wasn't just the loan. It was the fact that Eli had kept who he was hidden from her. Owner of the bank. Since when? Why hadn't he said anything? She walked back to the bakery in a haze. Flour dust clung to the countertops. The ovens were already heating, and the smell of rising dough filled the air. But something had changed. Her hands moved out of habit, measuring, kneading, shaping. But her mind wouldn't stop replaying their conversations. The way he looked at her like he really saw her. The quiet moments, the way he listened. And now this. Was it all just part? Some test? Some game to see how desperate she was? The bell above the door jingled. She didn't have to look to know it was him. Why didn't you tell me? She asked without turning around. Eli's voice was soft behind her. I wanted to see who you were, before you knew who I was. Nora turned slowly, her expression unreadable. And what did you find out? He stepped closer, gently placing a folded newspaper on the counter between them. Her bakery was on the front page of the business section. Local bakery gets second chance. I found someone who hasn't given up even when everyone else did, he said. Someone who reminded me why I started all this in the first place. Her jaw clenched. You lied to me, Eli. I didn't, he replied. I just didn't tell you everything, and I'm sorry for that. Silence stretched between them. She wanted to believe him. God, she did. But her heart was still sore from all the disappointments, all the people who said the right things, then disappeared when it got hard. Do you know what it feels like to beg someone for help? Not knowing. They already had the power to change everything, she said, her voice trembling. You watched me pour my heart out. You let me. I didn't mean to hurt you, he said. I needed to know if your fire came from you or from who you thought I was. Nora blinked away tears. You didn't have the right. I know. More silence. Then she turned away and went back to shaping the dough, her hands shaking. I need time, she whispered. He nodded. Take all the time you need. For days she worked in silence. Her staff noticed, but no one said anything. The customers returned, slowly at first, then steadily. Some came because of the article, some because they missed her smile, her pastries, the heart she poured into every corner of the place. But the ache stayed. She missed Eli, missed the way he made her feel, like she wasn't alone, like someone finally got it. One night, long after closing, she sat by the front window with a cup of tea. The bakery was quiet, lights dimmed, street outside flickering with passing headlights. She hadn't seen him in almost a week, and then she heard it. Music. Faint, soft, coming from just outside. She stepped to the door and opened it slowly. Eli stood under the streetlight with a tiny Bluetooth speaker in one hand, playing their favorite jazz track, the one she had mentioned offhandedly weeks ago, saying it reminded her of baking Sunday, mornings with her dad. I thought maybe you'd still be here, he said. She stared at him, arms crossed. What are you doing? He scratched the back of his neck. Hoping you haven't changed the locks. Despite herself, she laughed. Just a small one. But it slipped out. Eli took a step forward. Nora, I was wrong about how I handled things. About not telling you sooner. But not about you. I believe in you, and I'm here. If you'll let me be. She looked at him a long time. There was no suit tonight, no boardroom. Just Eli, a man who had made a mistake but was still standing. There, willing to try again, she opened the door wider. Come in, but you're washing dishes. He grinned. Fair. They worked side by side that night in comfortable silence. And when he reached for a towel and their hands brushed, she didn't pull away. Because maybe love didn't always start perfectly. Maybe it started with flour on your shirt, a few lies, and someone showing up when it mattered most. Nora hadn't expected it to be easy. Letting someone back in never was. But something shifted that night. The way Eli rolled up his sleeves and scrubbed dishes like he had something to prove. It softened something sharp inside her. He didn't try to fix everything with big words or flashy gestures. He just showed up. The next morning, he was back. Not with flowers or grand speeches, but with 2 steaming coffees and a fresh box of vanilla beans she'd mentioned were hard to find. She blinked in surprise as he handed them to her. You remembered, she said, almost a whisper. You said your dad swore they made the best custard, he replied. Figured I'd try not to mess that up. Day by day, he started to slip into her world. Not forcefully, not with expectation. He showed up early to stack flour sacks, helped the delivery guy when the crates were too heavy, and sometimes just sat at the corner table with his laptop while she worked. He never pushed her. And maybe that's what made it easier. One morning, she came in to find a single sticky note on the prep table. Eli's handwriting. You got this. Proud of you. She stared at it for a long time, her chest aching in a good way. It wasn't some sweeping declaration, but it landed heavier than anything else. Her staff started noticing, too. The way she smiled more. The way Eli was always the last to leave if she was working late. He didn't ask for credit, didn't flaunt anything. Just stayed, present, but it wasn't perfect. There were days she pulled back, remembering the betrayal, the fear that he'd vanish like the others. One afternoon she snapped at him for rearranging the supply shelf. He paused, mid-labeling a jar. You okay? She blinked. Yeah, just tired. He didn't push, just nodded. Tell me how you like it next time. I'll follow your system. And somehow, that hit her harder than a fight would have. The fact that he didn't argue. He just adjusted. Weeks passed. The bakery started thriving again. The article had brought a steady wave of curious customers, and her pastries kept them coming back. A food blogger wrote a glowing review. A local event organizer asked her to cater. It felt like something was finally going right. And yet she still hadn't told Eli everything. About the night her father died. About how she'd almost walked away from baking for good. About the weight she still carried. One evening, he caught her staring blankly at the old family recipe book. Her hands were still covered in flour, and her eyes were glassy. "Want to talk about it?" he asked gently. She hesitated, then sighed. "This page, it's the last one my dad wrote in. We were supposed to try this new apricot glaze together the week after he passed. I've never even tried it. Couldn't bring myself to." Eli was quiet for a moment. Then he pulled out a fresh apron. "Let's do it together. Tonight." She stared at him, heart thudding. "Really? You shouldn't have to face the hard memories alone." They spent the next few hours testing the recipe. It didn't go perfectly. The glaze was too runny the first time, too tart the second. But they laughed. Really laughed. And when the final batch came out just right, Nora burst into tears. "He would have loved this," she whispered. Eli wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "Then we'll keep making it. Every week if you want." The next morning, they put it on the menu. Dad's apricot glaze. Customers loved it, but more importantly, Nora felt like she'd taken something back. Not just a recipe, a piece of herself. The town started whispering about her and Eli. Old customers asked if they were